All right, and we should be live. Let me make sure this is going out all right. I'm here with my sidekick Luke, who may or may not be asleep, and also here with British James,
Holla.
and Argent is also here with us.
Yo.
I think he's falling asleep.
I think Luke is actually asleep.
That's insane.
I mean, I don't know if he's like fucking with us or something. But like, I just hear him there snoring and he's not responding. I don't know if he's
Let me
trolling
send
me
a
or
message on Skype.
not. Okay. I have to admit, like, I really wasn't expecting that. That's kind of throwing me off.
Otherwise, he's playing a long troll, or I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Was it say he's always like the gremlins? You haven't like fed him past midnight, have you?
I don't think so.
That's disturbing.
He's trying to replace my snoring dog.
Is he
so
like
rest his
is
soul.
he recording in his bed or something? I don't even know how you can fall asleep.
Well, as soon as I sent the message to Skype thing, so he's still there. It's just I think he's literally slept at his desktop.
How do you even do that?
Well, that's not the first, because is it the Savage Hippie podcast? They had a stream where Ann Sturzinger fell asleep and they're just talking for 15 minutes about her snoring. So,
Okay.
I don't know what to do.
I have to say I don't know how to respond. Well, there's not going to be a lot of visual aids then.
I know this podcast is normally low energy, but this is a new level.
See if I can wake him up.
Is this honest to God, like, real?
This is coming out of his paycheck, you know that.
Well, it's a good thing I don't pay him.
Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, we're all professionals here. We're professional streamers. Isn't that right?
Yeah. All right. Well, moving on. First thing I wanted to talk about.
Should we just mute him, or is like
Mute him.
Yeah, I think I should mute him because it's going to distract the hell out of me. Okay, you sleep tight, buddy. Okay. Gee, that really kind of threw me off there. So first thing I wanted to talk about, and would have been nice to have visual aids, but here we are. The new trailer for Sonic Forces came out. Now I thought, and I said this on this live stream a couple weeks ago, that a few weeks ago now, I guess, that I kind of thought that the third mode was going to be Sonic Boom, just because it's visually different than the other two. It's the third version of Sonic Sega has currently. And I realize those games aren't popular, but I thought maybe this would be a chance to redeem it or something like that. You know, and but apparently that's not what they went with. And I kind of wish that is what they went with, because what they did go with is going to unleash horrible nightmares upon us all. They decided to go with a character creation mode.
What?
Where you can insert your own Donut Steel original of the character into the adventure. And
Sonic already has 1 billion characters who are underutilized. Did they really need more?
well,
Why not?
according to Deviant, already does.
Look, Cold Steel is now a reality, so don't complain.
I mean, look, I'm sure it's something you can have a lot of fun with, even if you're not fucking autistic. I have no doubt it's going to sell a lot. Look, the kids will love it, and the fucking Christians will love it. But wow, I kind of wish they hadn't have done that, because it's hard enough to publicly admit that you like Sonic the Hedgehog these days. After what this is going to unleash upon us all. I mean, can you honestly imagine? First of all, we are going to see actual, I mean, assuming he doesn't die by then, we are going to see actual footage by Chris Chan of Sonic Chew in a Sonic game. I want you all to wrap your heads around that. Like, that's going to happen. Sonic Chew will be continuity soon.
Well, that's interesting. Has he actually responded to this new? Because I know he responded to when they introduced him as a character, that Sonic Boom TV show, and he said the likeness is nothing alike.
Oh, let me just check the quickie and see if it's in their news feed.
What was I say? The Sonic TV show was quite interesting. I looked at. I never. Well, there's only been two famous Sonic TV shows. You had the dark, gritty, evil one, which was quite good, and then you had the one which is made for YouTube poop with the, Robotnik saying penis all the time. But this one I saw.
There's Sonic Underground.
What's that? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. The dark, gritty one. Well, actually,
no. Sonic Underground's the one that looked like it had deviant art recolors in it.
I think that's
they were like playing in a band or something.
Yeah, they were a revolutionary group / band.
Yeah, that was the dark, edgy one, wasn't it?
No. The dark, edgy one was the one with like Princess Sally and that's the one I really liked as a kid.
Oh God, maybe I blocked him out of my memory. Who knows? But there's been to put it quite simply, Sonic Boom sits in a weird place where it seems to be quite all right when it shouldn't be. I mean, that episode with Chris Chan is priceless. Some of the quotes are amazing. I mean, even the homage to that Stephen King novel. I wasn't expecting that from a show like that. Like, let me go for my fan fiction. Oh, let's go for the PG-13 fanfics.
I've seen a couple episodes of Sonic Boom. It's a cute cartoon. It's definitely better than. I mean, aside from the one with Princess Sally, it's better than any of the other Sonic cartoons. I mean, it's better than like Sonic X or that fucking that batshit crazy one.
Shit.
And that batshit crazy one, Adventures of Sonic the Hedgehog. That one was fucking insane.
Oh, well, the Pingus and the Nacho Dogs.
I got into Sonic games with Sonic Adventure 2, Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure 2. And Sonic Adventure 2 Battle is still one of I think I had it as in my top. Yeah, I had it in my top 10 favorite games of all time. And then it just kept getting worse and worse and worse.
Yeah.
Shadow the Hedgehog was the kiss of death to the series.
Oh yeah.
And did any of you play Sonic and the Secret Rings?
No. That was the Wii titles, if I remember, because they had that one, and they had some weird mystery night one. I can barely remember it.
Sonic and the Secret Rings might be the worst video game I've ever played.
Well, Sonic game being the worst title is not a surprise. I mean, they've got some infamous ones. What does it say? They've had a rich life. I mean, technically they are looking at it, because we did mention the current Sonic game coming out with the whole character creator, but they're going for that Sonic. I can't remember the title of the one, but where they try to mix the original gameplay with the new updated 3-dimensional gameplay.
Oh, that was Sonic Generations.
Yeah, Generations is basically what this new game is. And obviously they got Sonic Mania, the Sonic 1-2 homage that they're releasing. So it's not looking too bad for Sonic. He's actually got some. Even apparently Sonic 4 Episode 2 was meant to be quite good. So it's not like Sonic is doing too badly. It's just the problem with the whole franchise is that I don't even think the people who want Sonic know what they want. Because
I think Sonic has been so all over the place at this point that there's probably tons of people that are into Sonic for entirely different reasons. And this has almost been true from the start, because the original Sonic games, you had the obviously the 3/4 on Genesis, if you count Sonic and Knuckles as a different game. But really, I think It was obviously meant to be the same game as Sonic 3, and it plays better with it. So let's just say the trilogy, the main trilogy. And then you also had the kind of the 8-bit ones that were on the Game Gear. And people forget that, like, in Europe and South America, for example, a lot of people had the Master System. And for a lot of people, those are the first Sonic games they played. So those are people, for example, who are much more comfortable with more slower pace in a Sonic game because those games weren't particularly fast. They were just more relied on precision platforming, or in, yeah. So, I mean, even from the get-go, Sonic games have been all over the place. But, and it's weird because, like, Mario games, for example, are all over the place, and yet somehow they manage to kind of do that better. It's almost like Sonic games are all over the place, but they're not good. Team Sonic isn't good at following multiple paths at once. You know what I mean? In order to start doing one thing, it seems like they abandon another.
Well, for Mario, there's always a very clear, like, there's different series. There's the Mario RPG series.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if, like, when they started making Mario Kart, they were like, yeah, we're just not going to make regular Mario games for a while. We're going to make Mario Kart. And then it's like, no, now we're going to make Mario RPG. We're just going to stop making those other games for a while. Like, that would probably piss people off after a while.
Oh, yeah.
But that's not how they approached it. They very much that's kind of why everyone freaked out about Sonic Boom. I think everyone just assumed, like, that it wasn't a spinoff, like, no matter what Sega said, like, this is just going to be what Sonic is now.
Well, there's always the case that just Nintendo were the better game makers. I mean, as I say, Mario became less of a platformer and more a character in several different games. You've got the party games, you've got the kart games, you've got the RPG games.
Yeah.
They are very well made. I'm being honest, I do not like Super Mario 64 or Mario Kart 64, but they're well made. I will take the 2D games over them any day. But the fact is, it's telling the difference between you can look at Sonic Racer and realize, wow, that game is bad. I do not want to touch that ever again. Please don't show that to me ever again.
Amazing that the Speed character never managed to take to racing games quite like Mario did.
But I thought Paper Mario 1 and Thousand Year Door were absolutely amazing games. And yeah, I was just shocked that, because I had never had a Super Nintendo, so I was just shocked that they made such a good RPG with, like, such good humor and stuff from Mario.
I like Mario RPG, and I don't generally get into RPGs because I usually detest turn-based combat. That's just something I personally don't care for, and it's a hard hurdle for me to get by. And I still love Mario RPG because, again, there is a lot of potential to flesh out character and story within the Mario universe setting, and those games show you that.
And they have a lot of, like, particularly in the Paper Mario games, there's a lot of good humor.
Oh yeah, it's all in good fun. I mean,
yeah,
that's always been Mario's thing.
That's why I'm quite curious about the new Mario Odyssey. It feels like it's going for more of a Super Mario Sunshine feel, but are they going to try and flesh it? Is it going to be like, when you look at a 2D, especially 2D Mario games, there's no, what you could say, plot. It's just basically run across level and it's sort of a vague world feel. But then you play, let's say, Super Mario Sunshine or the 3D ones, there is actually a narrative going on. Do you think Odyssey is actually going to offer anything? It's not just going to be Mario jumps to random levels because we got to have some.
If I had to imagine what the story is, it's going to be like some sort of kind of almost multiverse thing where Bowser is going from universe to universe and Mario is chasing after him or something, and that's kind of going to be the story. And I guess the realistic level is Bowser goes to our universe, sort of thing. I don't know. And, it's weird. Like, everybody throws that, like, accusation at Mario that's never made a lick of goddamn sense. Mario games are all the same. And, I mean, nothing could be further from the truth. There are so many different sub-series. There are so many different genres that it straddles. And then the only one where there's like a series where you could say it's been spinning its wheels is the new Super Mario series. And that's almost by design. Like those games are meant by their very nature to be back to basics 2D platforming. So the one that you could say, okay, this one is getting repetitive, it's almost designed to be repetitive. It's the comfort food of Mario games.
Well, Mario has had like more spin-offs, more successful spin-offs, I might add, than just about any other series. Like, I actually really like Mario Tennis 64. The party games, Mario Party's good. The kart games are solid. There's like just so many completely different types of Mario games. And by and large, they're all at least playable.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Which the Sonic spin-offs aren't. That's the key
No,
difference.
I mean, yeah. Almost the best Sonic spin-off to me is Sonic Spinball. And I consider that unplayable after like halfway through the fucking game because it just reaches a point where I can't do anything. I feel like I might as well put the controller down for all the control I have over it. But I always played that game at like a buddy's house, and I always genuinely really liked the first level of that game. I thought that was really well done. I still felt like I had a decent amount of control over it, despite the pinball mechanic. But the rest of that game, I can't. I think I got to like the third fucking world one time out of sheer luck. I mean, I bought it when I got a Genesis just because it was like $2. I said for $2, it's worth just playing the first level and then shutting it off.
Actually, on a slight minor point, you mentioned Genesis. I was thinking back because my dad owned the Sega CD. They've actually done a 20th anniversary re-release of that infamous Sega CD game. Is it Night Terror? The one where it's all the people set in the house
Night
and you've got to stop them. Yeah, Night Trap. They've actually, if I remember correctly, they've actually done a 20th, a 20th anniversary re-release of that.
Yeah, it's on like the digital things like
Steam and all
Xbox Live and PS Network Steam. But I think for the PS4, you can actually get a physical release of it, and it comes in two different like boxes. One where it looks like a 32X coloring on the side, and the other like a Sega CD coloring. It's so weird because I remember hearing so much about that game as a kid, and like everything I heard about it was wrong. Like, because it was one of those infamous games. Like people would at school would be saying it's a game where the object is to rape a chick. Like, and then like as an adult, I'd go back and look at like the footage of this, and I'd be like, this was no worse than what like syndicated action shows at the time would show. I mean, this is like what fucking was on like shows like Hercules or fucking Baywatch Nights at the time. All right. Yeah, it's funny how infamous that like everyone's like it's too real. Yeah, it's too real. All right. It's basically like you're watching TV and every once in a while you push a button. It's like imagine you're watching a TV show and every once in a while you have to push a button right at the right time or you can't watch any more of it. That's Night Trap.
I think I tried it for emulator once and I couldn't figure out what I was supposed to do and I just shut up.
You can't get anywhere in that game without a guide. Everybody who Let's Plays it says like, look, I'm gonna just do the guide because otherwise we're gonna get nowhere here.
Sega CD. Everyone else remember full motion video from the 90s?
Oh god, I'm just thinking of them. I don't know if you've guys seen it, the Alex Jones video someone put in a Sega CD format.
I
love that.
It's like, we are the InfoWars.
You're joining the resistance.
Speaking of that, Irani did a because everyone says how much he looks like Kane from Command and Conquer. He actually did the cutscene where Kane first shows up in the first Command and Conquer.
Oh, Irani seems to appear everywhere. So he's been in Howard the Duck, who was also in Guardians of the Galaxy 2. I didn't expect that. He's been in a Mad Max film. I'm not forgetting that. And he's been in Command and Conquer.
But yeah, like he actually did that scene, and it was hilarious. I love the cheesy FMV from the original Command and Conquer games.
Yeah, it's a shame you don't see a lot of that stuff. I mean, in the latest Command and Conquers, they did have people like Michael Ironside. How did you get? What are you doing? This is meant to be a bad video game. Could you please get out?
I love that James Earl Jones was in it. That was
Yeah, I wasn't like playing the bad guy.
No, he was the good guy.
No, come on, he wasn't the good guy.
He was the head of GDI in Tiberian Sun.
No, no, James. Oh no, I was thinking of Billy D. Williams. Oh,
No,
God.
Billy D. Williams was.
What? Just because they're black, you get them confused there?
Well, they
They're
both
all-
were GDI. So.
Fair enough.
I'm
I
sorry,
remember Tiberian Sun was like the first game I played that was kind of like mature. Like it's not M-rated, but they do cut a guy's throat open in it, like an FMV, and it's fairly graphic. But yeah.
What's to say? That's the funny thing. When people went crazy with a lot of the video game stuff when it comes to violence, I mean, I still remember the whole debacle with, was it Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2, when they had the Russian airport scene, and it's like, have you played games that aren't this? That's tame. Okay, so you shot some Russian civilians. Have you played rape play? Games where you fucking pretend to rape people. Maybe it's because I was actually going through a lot of my dad's old posters. He's actually talking me through, because he has a really good collection of posters in terms of like the UK quads and US one sheets. And the one poster he was talking about was the Evil Dead, the original Evil Dead poster, and it's one poster he paid 50 pence for. It's worth about £300, and he gave to someone on a bet. Kind of pissed about that. But when it came to a lot of that sort of video game and video nasty stuff, people don't understand that shit changes quickly when it comes to attitudes. A lot of those films that are considered 18s or R-rated, because I don't know what the equivalent for US ratings are, they change so quickly. I mean, the one thing that will guarantee a high film rate certification, especially video games, is always drugs. So all these attitudes when it comes to, let's say, the night, I can't remember the Night Terror video game I was talking about. That's tame. That's like a 12A game when you look at it. There's no blood in it. There's no violence. There's nothing crazy to it.
It's always weird to me, like what will and won't like trigger ratings. I mean, like in America, at least for the most part, you can get away with a ton of fucking violence in a PG-13 movie, and you show one fucking exposed female nipple, and that shit is almost always R.
Oh, okay. There was a guy who
The only time I've ever known it to not be R was Titanic, and I swear to God, James Cameron just bribed somebody.
Someone once said, in Europe you can show sex but not violence. In America you can show violence but not sex. And someone's like, well, where can I get sex and violence? And the person said, Japan.
I actually remember a story from like the comic book industry, like back when Stan Lee was still writing, where he did some anti-drug story in a Spider-Man comic, and it was the first comic that Marvel could not get the Comic Code Authority to approve, and they just published it anyways because it featured drug use, even though it was like an obnoxiously preachy anti-drug comic.
Well, drugs, and so also people forget profanity. That's a big thing. I mean, they don't joke around when you watch South Park movies. Like, violence is good, violence is all right. But if there's potty language, you can't have that.
You only say fuck once.
Oh yeah, I mean, you look at. I think I was watching Oblivion the other day. They can have the one F word. If they say more than that, it goes to a 15 or an R rating equivalent.
I remember a lot of times, and it would be different depending on what time of day it would be. But like on basic cable, you could say ass, but you couldn't say asshole, right? And you could say damn, but you couldn't say goddamn.
Oh
So
yeah, the
they
AVGN did a joke about that.
So they would literally bleep out God and hole.
It's contextual to a degree, because they is it Simon Pegg was mentioning this with his Cornetto trilogy. You watch Shaun of the Dead, they say cunt 3 times. They say cunt 3 times and nigger, and it gets a 15 rating in England. And they also argued it with The World's End because the English Board of Certification is a funny thing. If you say a swear word or profanity in a humorous context, it doesn't get counted as a swear word, which makes sense to a degree. Because, you know, let's say a black dude goes up to another black dude and say, "What's up, nigger?" You're not going to be thinking he's saying that in an offensive manner. It's just language. But if you have, like, let's say your evil 1488 anime Nazi goes up to a black dude and lynches him and says, "You're a nigger," there's a slight difference.
I
can
really don't
understand
think
that.
in America the MPAA even does have any sense of fucking context. I think they're so autistic about everything. Like, nope. They said, you know, like they give fucking, you know, Huckleberry Finn an R rating because they say nigger in it. You know what I mean? Like they just they don't have any fucking common sense about context.
Yeah. That's what I don't get. It's, I mean, especially even if you look at ye olde films, you're going to say words like Negro all the time. I mean, I was watching, technically, if you look at context, was it Bone Tomahawk? If you've not seen Bone Tomahawk with Kurt Russell, it's a really good indie horror about these cowboys trying to basically rescue these people from cannibalistic Native Americans. And on a shoestring budget of 1.5, but the context is there's a lot of black people and they say Negro. Negro, if you say that to a black person these days, you would see it as offensive. It is profanity, but in the context, that's why I'm saying with a lot of the BFI stuff, especially in England or wherever the equivalent for the US, film certification will always change.
Yeah, it's not nearly as common sense or contextual here in America. It's basically like, you know, they're just counting shit and they're just well, like with the South Park movie, the one famous story about it was they wanted to call the movie like the subtitle "All Hell Breaks Loose." The MPAA, which was already on their ass about everything in that movie, was like, "No, we're not going to let you say hell." And then they're like, "Okay, fine." So they call it "Bigger, Longer, and Uncut," which of course is a dick joke. And the MPA allowed that, and then weeks later got back to them and were like, "Wait a second, that's referring to a penis." And I guess they couldn't like undo their stamp of approval, so they just had to let it go.
Yeah. You'd think the title wouldn't be a concern when it has a Guinness World Record for most swear words per minute.
What has the world record for that?
South Park the movie.
Oh, okay.
If I remember correctly.
Scarface?
No, trust me. I think the Uncle Fucker song has probably got that record.
Yeah, I think that damn near has as many swear words as most R-rated movies right there.
I think it's got 300 swear words in the entire film, and I think that's a very conservative estimate.
I'm amazed it's that low. I would have thought like 1,000.
Or is it in the fucking? It might just be 300 in that song.
Yeah, I was going to say I don't even think we're at Act 2 and we've already reached 300.
Well, let's not forget South Park in the movie is an Oscar-nominated song for the Blame Canada song.
You know that movie never had #1 at the box office because it got beaten by fucking, I think it was Wild Wild West.
Oh God,
that piece of shit.
Oh.
Alrighty. What else we got going on this week? I don't know. I feel like I should talk about some of this fucking Russia nonsense, but it's such utter fucking nonsense. I mean, like, who is still running around fucking believing this shit? Even like Nancy Pelosi is starting to say, like, yeah, we should back off all this impeachment talk. We really got nothing.
I really want them to try because I think it would be like an amazing backfire.
Well, the funny thing is, like, I really think there's a hand, or there's at least a good chunk of the Democrat base that thinks that if Trump is impeached, somehow Hillary becomes president.
Bernie could still win.
Yeah, like honestly, this is almost a chance for Hillary to lose the election yet again.
Being honest, the quote still, the whole idea of cutting your nose off in spite of your face still seems relevant with the Democrats. And as a good acquaintance of mine puts it, these sort of people we're dealing with will burn the earth to the ground. They will do that just so they can rule the ashes. There's no logic and reason with these actions.
They don't have any soul. I mean, they do not have a soul. They just don't. Maxine Waters was on MSNBC talking about how like the Kremlin gave Trump the talking point, crooked Hillary.
Mm.
And even the MSNBC host that was interviewing her was like sit down and shut up, Grandma. You're embarrassing us.
That's that hard that they need like Russian secret agents to come up with it.
Apparently. Well, I guess when you're Maxine Waters and you're fucking, borderline retarded.
Try to remember who the Democratic congressman was who didn't want to send troops to Guam because he was afraid the island would tip over.
Oh God! Like, who is electing these fucking 90 IQ motherfuckers to like?
He was like, "So we're sending these troops to Guam. Is there a possibility that if we send them there, the island is going to tip over and sink into the ocean?" And the general said, "We don't anticipate that, sir."
Well, he's not wrong. I mean, how is she going to answer that? No, I don't anticipate that. I don't believe that's going to happen.
It's like the greatest example of military discipline ever. That the guy was just like, what the fuck?
The mere fact that the guy didn't shoot him is the greatest example of military discipline. Like, just pulled out a firearm and shot the man and go, "You heard what he said. I had no choice.
I had to for the good of America."
What would you have done? Maxine Waters, I think, was saying something along like she thought fucking Russia had invaded Korea or something instead of Crimea. She thought it was Korea, not North or South Korea, mind you, just fucking Korea. I guess both of them. Ugh. Like that woman, like fucking third graders know more about geopolitics than that fucking woman.
It's I think my favorite one is how they talk about the KGB. They're like the KGB, and I'm like, the KGB doesn't exist anymore. Like, what are they talking about?
Well, back when it did exist, they fucking loved it.
Yeah. No, but they talk about the KGB running I don't know, just running
the White
Trump's
House
campaign. Yeah.
Well, the funny thing, you've probably seen the Times article. Well, not the Times article, the front page of basically the White House with those Russian type sort of spires on top, and they said Kremlin is shown as leading the White House when they don't realize those spires aren't the Kremlin. That's actually one of the cathedrals
and by the way,
in Moscow.
They ripped it off of a Mad Magazine cover from December.
Oh no!
It's almost the exact, like, aside from the red added in, it is the exact same image.
Oh yeah,
basically.
They're now you can say they're on the equivalent of copying The Onion when it comes to their photos.
And here's the other thing: like, there is no fucking evidence for this. Meanwhile, the DNC, at the very least, if not probably directly the Clintons, fucking killed Seth Rich. All right, they fucking killed that guy.
At least one person, probably dozens.
Yeah.
I mean, look, I'm sorry. That guy was leaking information to WikiLeaks. That's a fact. He was sending emails to WikiLeaks, and then he mysteriously died in a mugging in which nothing was taken. And that, if you actually have questions about that, oh no, you're just a fucking conspiracy theorist. Now let me tell you about how Russia is brainwashing Trump in order to invade Korea.
I made this point when the election was happening. The fact that you have a candidate, one of the two candidates for office, there is a long list of credible, murders that they might have been involved in, that like legitimately credible, worth investigating, and not just like crazy conspiracy theory, is really disturbing.
Well, yeah, but don't you guys seem to forget the idea that when you trip on a bar of soap in your shower, you might accidentally inhale a gunshot wound?
It's true.
Lots of people commit suicide by shooting themselves 14 times in the back.
Like Vince Foster.
And I'm sorry, like when I saw that Time magazine cover, I'm like, okay, I don't ever want to hear a fucking leftist talk about you're just a conspiracy theorist ever again. Okay? Because Alex Jones, when he was rambling on about interdimensional fucking pedophile vampires when he was high on Joe Rogan's weed, was making more sense than these fucking Russia claims.
Well, why didn't Russia rig the French election? Like, why didn't Marine Le Pen win if Russia was rigging the election?
Well, didn't you know they also rigged the English election and the Brexit referendum?
They did.
They pretty much rigged everything.
I mean, like, I remember when it happened, and they're like, when the DNC leak happened, they're like, Russia was behind it. I was just like, what? Because my first thought was what happened, that it was like someone who was like, holy shit, this stuff is crazy. Like, that's going on. I gotta, like, tell somebody about this. I mean, that's kind of like the logical...
But the thing is, I don't trust the Russians, but which would go into a separate discussion. But a lot of these people were trying to blame, say, the hack-ins because they had tools that were made in Russia on the Russians do it themselves. That would be like blaming every jihadi attack for the Russians because they happen to use Kalashnikovs. It makes no sense.
And I'm sorry, but if, and they did not, but if the Russians were responsible for this, well, then what did they do? They exposed Democrat crimes.
Yeah,
Like,
it doesn't change the fact a lot of stuff was illegal.
They hacked the election by showing that the Democrats hacked the election.
Yeah, they hacked the election by showing us the truth about one of the parties. Let's see. What else? Go ahead.
As a quick side note to just that, what's your thoughts on Julian Assange at the moment? Do you think Trump's going to actually, I don't say pardon him, because I think it was more of a complex situation just saying, oh, you're free to go. But what do you think is going to happen to Assange, let's say in the next year or so?
Here's the thing. Let's assume for a minute Trump wants to pardon him, right? He can't right now. I've said this for a while. If Trump intends on really doing even half of what he said he wants to do, he needs to get a lot more men in positions where he needs them. He needs, James Comey is the tip of the iceberg. He needs to fire and fire and fire motherfuckers left and right.
Oh, yeah.
There needs to be a line, a line going into the Oval Office for him to personally fire people, like it's the top ride at fucking Disneyland. All right, and just most of the FBI at the top levels needs to be fucking gone. Most of the Justice Department at the top level, these are still fucking Obamaites. They need to be gone. They need to be hitting the unemployment line in a hurry, and be fucking grateful they're not in fucking Gitmo. If he intends to do half of what he wants to do, then he's got to get his people in position. That said, I know I'd want him to pardon Julian Assange, at least for a handful of these things. Unfortunately, he's got too many fucking neocons around him.
No, couldn't he not pardon him because it would look really suspicious with the whole Russia thing?
That is what I was going to think, because there is somewhat of a conflict of interest, because especially anyone with whether liberal, Democrat, Republican or not would say that Julian Assange did aid directly or indirectly to Trump winning. Like, fair enough, we could all say there was the major factor wasn't the WikiLeaks email stuff, but
I could see there be a conflict of interest. Let me put it this way: at the very least, I want to see Trump not surrounded by motherfuckers who are talking about we got to bring him to justice. No, fucking justice for this man is a Medal of Freedom. All right. So yeah, every time I see one of these shitbag neocons around him, it's like we got to bring him to justice. Like, I remember a few years ago when fucking Lindsey Graham was saying that about Snowden. I'm like, when we bring fucking boss hog politicians like yourself to justice, Graham, that's what I want to say. All right. Yeah, I guess he technically aided Trump, but I'm not even sure if it swung things as nearly as significantly as everyone said.
Mm.
Because most of the people that were going to vote for Hillary, it's not like they didn't have their their heads up their asses. It might have gotten a few Bernie supporters to stay home, but I really don't think it was much of a needle mover. What it was and what it needs to be is it needs to be the evidence for fucking arrests. I mean, people need to be put in prison. And like I said, Trump has to get people in positions first.
I mean, to use a somewhat comic book example, if he's Captain America, Shield is basically just there is a lot of people he does need to weed out. That's something a lot of people were saying on November when he was elected. He's going to have to weed out a lot of people. It's not going to be a simple case of landing in. He's going to be basically being put into a minefield at this point, and he's going to navigate that.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, this man started office with, half of the fucking government openly fantasizing about assassinating him. All right? I mean, yeah, he needs to clean house before he can hope to do anything. Yeah. I mean, it's easy to be frustrated with Trump because, he hasn't done all the things I want, but, I can give him the benefit of the doubt for a while here, given what he's up against. Let's see what else I want to cover this week. Oh, so there were 2 trailers out here recently, kind of not officially related, but spiritually related, I guess. There was the trailer for the new Star Trek show, which I guess is based off of the new movie continuity, and it looks like absolute shit.
How paused does it look?
I mean, even that aside, it looks like shit. It just looks bad. And look, I was a big Star Trek fan as a kid. I loved Next Gen. I loved reruns of the original show, all that kind of stuff. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and act like Star Trek was the most brilliantest thing ever. It was a cool science fiction franchise that was occasionally brilliant, usually cheesy, and occasionally fucking retarded. That's what Star Trek was. It was usually entertaining, though. Even in its cheesy moments, it was usually decent television. So while I will always have a certain fondness for it, I'm not going to sit here and, this besmirches its holy memory or any shit like that. I mean, it doesn't live up to its memory, but that said, though, I saw a trailer for a show starring Seth MacFarlane that looked fucking hilarious. It's called The Orville, and it's basically it's this Star Trek-like universe in which Seth MacFarlane is given a ship. He's promoted up to captain just because there aren't enough people to be captains of ships. He's not that good at anything, and it's basically Galaxy Quest, the TV show. I mean, except without the premise of them being that kind of hook that Galaxy Quest had, but it's basically Star Trek parody, the TV show. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking at that trailer, I'm like, this is a better Star Trek show than Star Trek Discovery. I can already tell you that.
It doesn't surprise. The only thing I will say for Star Trek Discovery's benefit, it feels like they put, in terms of production design, it looks quite close to on par with what you got with the J.J. Abrams films. It looks well made. It's just I know it's going to be pos to fuck. Whereas McFarlane's show, I think it looks like Galaxy Quest. That's why I like it. That's why I think I'm going to like it, hopefully, when it comes out.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I was kind of disappointed. I heard Son of Zorn didn't get renewed, and that was a pretty damn good show Fox had. I mean, it was hardly like, you know, it was hardly something that I was like obsessed with, but I really enjoyed it.
Sorry, what did you say?
Oh, the show Son of Zorn didn't get renewed for
Oh,
season
what's
2.
Son of Zoran?
It was basically like it was half animated, half live action, and basically like, you know, there's this woman is getting remarried and she's got her kid, right? And her father comes back into the picture, and her father is He-Man, but like kind of a middle-aged, sort of almost washed up He-Man. It's and like he's animated. He comes from the island of Zephyria, which is this like, it's basically, you know, a He-Man like world. And it was actually really fucking hilarious. But it didn't get renewed. I don't know why. That shitty ass Last Man Standing show is on what, season 3 now? But yeah, the Orville looks pretty good. I actually am looking forward to that, and there's not a lot on TV worth watching, so. Let's see. What else did I want to mention? I guess I guess we can go ahead and start taking some callers. Let's see. Is Luke still asleep? I believe Luke's still asleep.
Yeah, he's not messaged back. That's
He
quite
had
surprising.
a big afternoon of fighting with communists. So, he went to some like sort of communist meeting, I guess, earlier this afternoon, and
oh, he's back.
Yep, Luke.
Yeah.
You dozed off on us there, buddy.
Sorry about that. I'm 1 hour sleep. It's 1 hour sleep here, and communists don't sleep.
Oh my god.
I don't know if you feel like you can or not, but do you want to play that speech that guy had?
Oh, the guy I showed you.
Yeah.
Oh well. Well, I'll see if I can get him through.
Just a picture of him or what?
Either one. I was thinking maybe play the audio of the speech.
That's not. Let's see, where did he go?
Yeah, so Luke wandered out to some communist meeting where eventually they recognized him as somebody who goes to these meetings and trolls them, and they told him to leave. Because this is a safe space. We're talking about fighting the revolution, but we can't have fucking people ask us questions. That's scary.
So hopefully the picture comes through. See a picture yet?
Hang on. Just a blank screen so far. Oh, there he is. Yep. We don't have any audio.
Oh, let me get the audio first.
Today is 5 years old. Yet somehow it's being used as evidence of interference in the 2016 election. The bulk of the evidence presented consists simply of assertions.
I'm triggered already. Look at this asshole.
High confidence that the DRU relayed material it acquired from the DMV Democratic officials to WikiLeaks. And that's it. Whether it's the alleged hacking by Russian agencies or the direct involvement of Vladimir Putin and the general motivations of various Russian actors, it's the same script and assertion of Russian malfeasance without even reverting to any of the sources of countries used to determine those assertions. So again, the report does.
So you hear anything?
Yeah, sort of.
Entirely source of assertion and establishes that Russia, like Norway, Israel, and just about every other nation, with the means, seeks to influence the political conversations in America. I wonder why. America is obviously the center of power. It overthrows countries it doesn't like, it supports reactionary countries it does, dictators it does like, uses other elected officials as being dictators. This is just the nature of U.S. foreign policy. And so it makes sense that countries would want to have some amount of influence on what the U.S. decides, since it has a direct impact on them.
Yeah.
The speech is titled Syria, Russia, and Trump, an analysis of current
In
events.
any case, the report itself outlines that this actually consists of highlighting very political commentators who happen to not be the people you routinely see on CNN, and who have a different perspective, and often whose issues and stories are woefully. In other words, the report shows nothing. It simply compiles information already known that does not, in fact, show definitively that Russia tried to tip the election or attack the election. It isn't that either couldn't be true, just that there is no proof. And of course, we have the much more feasible explanation. Julian Assange, who has been leaking important information that activists have been using for years now, that this was an internal.
All right, that's enough. That's enough of this faggot on my show. Good Lord. Like,
So are these guys actual communists or like what are they?
Well, yeah, the meeting was called the Communist Convention with how to become the People's Party.
Yeah, what? That's the thing though. Like this. Oh, we're gonna fight a revolution. We're tired of talk. We want to fight. You know what? Like that meme of that guy just dumping a bucket full of quarters into a wishing well. That's me wishing a nigga would. All right. I really fucking wish you guys would just do something about it. Please. I would love a legitimate excuse to send one of you commie cocksuckers to hell. I mean, what are you going to do? You going to hit me with your dildo and your bong?
Well, and this marks the first time I was officially called a Nazi by anyone.
I'm sorry. What did you say there, Luke? I didn't hear you.
Oh, this is the first time I've ever been officially called a Nazi by anyone.
Oh. He's a Nazi. Fuck these guys, man. All right, I'm gonna bring in some callers. Oh, I went to a gun show today. Actually, first time I ever went to a gun show.
How was it?
It was pretty nice. I got you ever hear of those little wallet knives? I got one of those. It's like this little flat thing that's like a really thick credit card almost that you can then fold out, and it's like it folds apart into like a real little knife.
Mm. Oh yeah,
that's kind of handy to have.
Yeah, they look neat.
You know, I mean, it never hurts to at least have a knife on you.
Well, in England, we're not allowed to carry butter spoons, so
you guys gotta stab each other with forks or sporks. Actually, you're not even allowed to have forks anymore, right?
When only English police, they're allowed to pop balloons really loudly to intimidate criminals.
I did a video literally where I tried to explain the concept of the dildo, and this guy from Austria is like, in Britain, why don't you just give people knives and pepper spray? Like, give girls knives and pepper spray. Like, dude, you don't understand what it's like.
Yeah, they don't. There's a weird and I feel like have you tried living in my country as an Englishman trying to be somewhat supportive of Trump, let alone conservatism, while supporting the idea of Second Amendment? And they usually say call the police, but then I can just get a video of, I'm being honest, as much as you know, Tips Bananas, Fedora, Justicar's got very good videos on the Second Amendment and why saying something like get a taser or call the police is bad. There is literally phone footage, actual phone audio calls of a police operator saying, we're not going to send police officers down to your situation because there was a woman calling because a guy was basically outside of her apartment trying to get in. The operator said, if he tries to get in again, we might send someone. The story basically ends up the guy gets in her apartment, rapes her, and fucking beats her to almost basically death. But don't worry, they caught her the afternoon later. So I'm being honest. I feel like you know when you feel like you're in a weird alien world trying to explain a weird concept to someone, that's basically trying to explain the Second Amendment to an English person usually.
I did a video that was kind of a parody of that. It was explaining Rotherham to an Aztec. And I was just like, the Aztec guy was like, yeah, man. So they went and you sacrificed the rapists. You cut out their hearts. No. They got off. We didn't do anything. And I was just trying to explain, just because like the kind of stuff like to anyone prior to this century
Mm.
would be incomprehensible to them.
Like, I don't get this though. How is it like British men are willing to like burn down pubs when the wrong soccer team loses or wins, but you all weren't willing to like just, I don't know, put all those fucking Durkas on a meat hook?
Well, Rotherham, a lot more stuff is coming out for the Rotherham and Rochdale stuff. Now, it's an interesting case because I don't know if you guys have been looking at, is it Tommy Robinson? He's been trying to report on the stuff in Rochdale, but he's basically being chased out of these cities
They keep
by
arresting him.
they keep arresting basically. Now, it's a twofold story because there's a case of, you could say the Dindu gangs, but you can also say it's more likely it's the police and the liberals at fault because they are literally hiding it. Because there's an interesting aspect a lot of people seem to forget. If let's say such a situation happens where you get Dindu gangs or Muslim rape gangs happening, you're also got to remember there's also an authority overseeing such a situation. They've got to now explain to themselves, to the public, why they've got to elect them in the next election when they oversaw such a situation. So what they do instead, they hide the situation. They say it never happened. Government bureaucrats are probably the one thing, if you wanted such a situation like Rochdale not to happen again, or Rochester, or wherever, it's the government bureaucrats you've basically got a fuck in the arse, to put it crudely. Because these people will basically cover it up. Police gangs, there's actually police statements coming out now saying they tried to get victims to try and basically cover up the identity of the attacker's nationality or religion. Basically, the Muslims are the petrol to the fire. They're the petrol to the fire. That's the thing. They make it worse. But the government bureaucrats, I hate to sound like a lolbitarian, but those people are the ones that actually make the situation untenable.
Well, I've made that point about stuff like Penn State or whatever, where, you know, talking about pedophiles, where I'm like, I have far more rage towards the people that cover it up than the actual perpetrators. I mean, what the hell can you expect a Muslim to do? I mean, you know, they're fucking 90 IQ inbred third worlders that have been raised their whole life on a fucking death cult religion. I mean, you know, the fact that they managed to go days without raping people is restraint on their part. But the people that cover it up, those are the motherfuckers that, I mean, not even an exaggeration, they need put up on a meat hook.
Well, there are enemies, but the people, like the bureaucrats, basically take away our weapons, tie us up, and leave us for.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, a traitor is far worse than an enemy. You know, when all is said and done, and it's time to deal with the aftermath, the enemies get a blindfold and a cigarette. I mean, that's kind of the difference there. You know,
well, I say this about ISIS is probably like the most evil thing I can possibly think of. I do respect them because they aren't pussies. They are like fucking hardcore.
Yeah, they're feral animals, but at least they try. They're not backstabbing.
Well, no, I mean they're awful, but they're not like just fucking faggot pussies like the people who covered up Rotherham.
Yeah,
like I have respect for ISIS. I have no respect for those guys.
As I say, even if you were to talk about Rochdale, the Liberal Democrat MP Cyril Smith, he was covered up. The general story, I don't know if I mentioned on a stream or was it another Skype chat I was talking on, but Cyril Smith, if you look into him, I could get a picture for Luke, but let's put it this way, he looks like, if you've seen that film Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, he looks like the Blueberry Girl. He's that clinically obese. For a socialist, it's kind of funny, but then again, you realize most socialists are usually consuming all the resources. But this man used to get arrested, and the police couldn't do anything about it because they'd hear Cyril Smith, they hear the name, Scotland Yard would come calling, and it'd say, "You've got to let him go. He's an MP. You can't do anything." So they just usually beat the shit out of him and then kick him because they can't do anything. But it's not like he can complain because they got evidence of him molesting kids. So I'm being honest. the rape gangs, whether they're Muslims or liberal Democrats or socialists, it's one aspect. The government usually ends up becoming, I'm being honest, the government, I can't really describe it. It's literally the government becomes the actual important factor you've got to look at because they cover it up.
In that kind of situation, and I understand, like, look, if you have like a wife and family that rely on you, I get that. You know what I mean? But if you were in that situation where you just had to like hand them over, and like, let's say you're a single guy and, nobody's going to be too screwed if your life is destroyed, I think maybe I don't know, like stab him in the dick or something. Like screw just beating him up. Like, I'll cut his fucking pecker off. And then that seems like that problem's solved. I mean, at a certain point, you got to kind of,
Like, you know what? Like, I
maybe throw yourself on a grenade.
I occasionally hear these stories from like the South. Like, I remember there's one where like some illegal was trying to had grabbed this guy's daughter and was trying to rape her, and the guy literally beat him to death with his fists. And then the judge was just like gave him the thumbs up and was like, "Good job, sir." And just let him.
And
off.
to beat a man with your bare hands, I don't care how strong you are, that takes a good amount of fucking effort.
You
I don't care how
literally
many
beat the guy to death.
That takes a good amount of fucking effort.
Yeah.
It's Texas, so
it's-
they probably built
yeah.
a statue to him.
That was quite a lot of rage in that man. Not that it wasn't justified.
Oh yeah,
But-
it's physics. You punch someone to death with your knuckles. There's a reason why your knuckles are bloody and raw themselves.
At the gun show, there was this guy selling like medieval weapons, and they were all like, they weren't obviously hundreds of years old. They were all modern produced, but they were real. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They were functional, and I almost bought a fucking flail.
Oh god.
Like with a big spiked ball at the end.
Oh.
I'm like, I have no reason to buy this, but it's so fucking cool. And I'm like, no, I gotta watch my money. I gotta fucking, I can't be buying stupid shit like this. But if I wasn't a NEET, I would be holding a flail right now.
Yeah.
Now that's something to beat a motherfucker to death with.
Well, as an Englishman to an American, did you buy more of those extended clip magazines with the hollow point baby killing rounds? Because that's what the Democrats keep telling me you guys use.
Oh yeah, we use that nice gun control loophole. They actually just give you an AR-15 when you walk in the door. That's
Oh yeah.
Are AR-15s really like expensive?
it's not so much now. For a little while during the Obama years, I mean, you had to give a guy a handy J in a back alley just to get the price down to expensive.
Yeah, but what about the AR-15 attachment for your pistol? You can just have that on the barrel.
I love the obsession with bayonets, which are like just not even really used in modern.
Well, I love the meme. As the Democrats call it, that AR-15's got the quote unquote shoulder doohickey thing that looks bad.
No, I bought one of those crazy guns Rob Liefeld draws, where it's the kind that Cable from X-Force uses. It's
Oh god.
I have to get
it
into.
doesn't have a bayonet. It's got a big sword on the end.
Does it have a good footing?
I have to get into guns. My parents, I'm still living at home just to save money, but my parents won't let me buy any guns while I'm living at home. But where I live in Canada, it's just kind of an ordeal. I'll have to go through like a big course and get my license and stuff.
Well, I went with my dad, and he bought I can't remember the name of it, but it was a rifle that some Japanese guy used in World War II.
Oh, a tisk. I can't pronounce it. I know.
And the thing of it is it's got this little like symbol carved on the top of it of like a flower that was like a symbol for the emperor and some Japanese lettering. And
Arasaka, I think is the
and
name.
Yeah,
apparently,
Arasaka,
like
yeah.
a lot of these guys, when they were done with the war, they would file that symbol off because, like, either they thought they had disgraced the emperor, or the emperor had turned out to be false, and fuck that guy. So most of the time, the symbol had been filed off, right? Well, this one he got like there's like one little scratch mark there where it looked like the guy started to want to file it off and then just like changed his mind. And other than that, the symbol is completely intact. which you never see anymore. And he was like super excited about that.
Yeah, it's a chrysanthemum because it's called
Yes,
the
that's
chrysanthemum.
the flower's name.
It's called because it's called the chrysanthemum throne.
Well, there's a lot of decent World War II loot you can get, especially of even weapons. Even in England, it's not too bad. I mean, I've held a Lee Enfield bolt-action rifle. I think even my uncle used to have an M72 Law rocket launcher. So
I really want a Car 98.
Oh yes, I do. Or maybe a Moss and Nugget. You can pretend you're a filthy Northern
Car
European
98
killing
is
Russians.
such a beautiful gun.
Mm.
A lot of guns just look really nice. I just just cool looking.
A gun should be essentially an extension of yourself. It's why it works. It's a lot of people don't seem to get why guns matter. They just think it's a point and click sort of. They think it's, dude, bro, you got the new AR-15 with the extended clip, piercing cop killer rounds. No, it's a discipline.
Heat seeking.
Yeah, don't forget the heat seeking.
I love how Hollywood thinks pistols work.
Don't you know you can curve bullets, bro, if you twist a pistol when you fire it?
Well, not even that. Just to hit anything with a pistol is hard.
Well, again, I mean, you know, one of the reasons, like, you know, being a little bit of a nerd here, one of the reasons I always liked Hawkeye in the Avengers, and to a lesser extent, character like Green Arrow or whatever, is because there are people that have that insane level of aim.
Yeah, there are.
Where they, you know, they can hold their pistol sideways and hit whatever the hell they want. There's this one guy I've seen on like Discovery Channel or whatever, where he's got one of those old cowboy style revolvers, and he shoots from the hip, and he does it so fast it sounds like he shoots one time, and you know he's shooting from the hip and he's hitting everything he's aiming for. There are people that just have that near superhuman ability to just, you know, they can fucking, you know, shoot a fly from 50 yards or some ridiculous nonsense like that. And I really find that fascinating. But yes, for most people, Hollywood, it's pretty fucking hard to hit shit with a gun. It's not the easiest thing in the world to do.
Like,
you know,
they don't even look down the sights.
I mean, yeah, there's that 1 in a million motherfucker who can just, you know, shoot something, you know, barely looking at it and hit that damn thing from across, you know.
Oh, yeah. That's why it always jades me when you watch older. Like, I was watching Day of the Dead a while back, and it's like these highly trained US soldiers are hip firing Uzis at zombies when it takes one bullet to kill a zombie to the head. But don't worry, you can empty a magazine if you hip spray it.
Well, I mean, most military rifles don't even have full auto on them.
Yeah, it's always semi or burst.
The one thing I loved about that World War Z novel is they explain why the zombies don't rot away too fast. That the virus creates almost a preservative chemical in them that's toxic to most animals. And because I always used to watch those zombie shows, and I'm like, man, in my neighborhood, the amount of stray cats alone would pick those fuckers apart in a week. like, I mean, I just have to board up my windows for a weekend, and those things would be gone. Just be a bunch of fat stray cats.
I've never watched The Walking Dead, but did they decay in that show?
You know, they don't, and I mean, not as much as they should, because that show is like the Deep South. Like one summer should finish off like 90% of them.
Shouldn't like insects and bacteria and stuff just rot them?
Yeah, because that show started in, what is it, Atlanta? I don't know whereabouts that, but I know that's fairly low in terms of country, not exactly deep south, but they did go south from that point, if I remember correctly.
Atlanta has hot summers. I mean, yeah. Hot, humid summers. Those things should be disintegrating in fucking weeks.
Toronto is actually really hot and humid in the summer. DC is like,
oh yeah. I used to live in Southern Maryland, which was, I mean, I didn't live in DC, but it was, I guess, considered a DC suburb. Like, you know, my local channels were all out of DC. And summers could be fucking brutal there because the whole place is a swamp.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, that whole town I lived in was Waldorf, Maryland, and I mean that town exists roughly 3 inches above sea level, if that.
Mm.
I mean, you couldn't dig like on a dry summer day. You couldn't dig a fence post without hitting water.
Do you know, it's strange that you did mention World War Z because I did pick that book up. I had people recommending me that book for maybe 4 or 5 years.
Oh, it's a
Since it's
fantastic
released.
novel.
And I picked it up on a random whim after work during a sort of lunch break. I come home, it's a Saturday, and you guys end up talking about it for about an hour. I'm being honest, when they did that film, the film was a clusterfuck if anyone didn't know the post-production, because the entire, I think, is it the third act when it's set in Scotland or England with the
China.
Doctor Who dude, with Peter Capaldi. Great actor, but it's a shame because it's still a bad film at the end. That entire third act was completely different because they showed it to test audiences and they thought that the original Russian third act, when it's actually set in Russia with the Israeli chick basically being used as a prostitute, Gal Gadot, they changed it. And I'm being honest, I think World War Z as a film is impossible. It should never be a film. It would work best as a TV show because because I think if you were to do a story, a completely different story, like a Tales of the Crypt stuff, each different episode is a different story, that would be perfect for World War Z.
It would have made like a really good miniseries on Netflix.
It's a shame they will never do it.
I thought the third act was about China, and the Chinese government made them remove it.
Well, no, because if we're talking about the film, the Brad Pitt film, the third act in the theatrical releases in England, but the third act which they filmed, because it's why if you look at the budget, the film is really inflated for its budget. But if you look at the film itself, I'm being honest, the CGI and the zombie CGI is hilariously bad.
Why can the zombies fly?
Yeah, why are they running like a horde that's tumbling over each other as they sprint? It's insane.
Someone was making fun of it, and they said the tagline was "You'll believe a zombie can fly."
Oh,
the scene where they're like piled up and
yeah.
like getting towards the helicopter, like the poster or whatever. Somebody had like a zoom in on that, and I don't know if they photoshopped it to where like there was a cat in the pile.
Oh God.
Like, it was just a cat jumping off the pile. I don't know if they photoshopped that or something, but like
the CG, like I'm being honest, that sort of running thing isn't needed. They don't seem to get even the Dawn of the Dead, the film itself. If you compare it to say Day of the Dead, the actual practical effects are fucking garbage. Like the helicopter scene with the guy's head cutting off, that's bad. That's hilariously bad. You can tell it's fake. Same with Blue Woman. And then you look at Day of the Dead, and Tom Savini's work on it was amazing. Are you telling me with $180 million budget, your practical effects and your CG is going to still look that bad? No, they literally had to re-film the entire third act of World War Z. That's why it's such a confused mess.
For the time, the practical effects in Return of the Living Dead are absolutely amazing.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
That interrogation scene with like the half of a corpse or something, and I mean that thing is entirely animatronic. That looks so fucking, no pun intended, lifelike.
I never saw it because it looked like shit, but I can believe that a zombie can fly.
Oh God. I'm being honest, especially looking at a newer film I've watched recently, The Void, which technically came out March the 31st and had a DVD release about 2 weeks later. Because
That's a bad side.
Well, it had 4 cinemas in the United Kingdom show it, but that film only had 1 green screen. It was all practical effects. I don't think I've mentioned it on the stream before, but if you get a chance, The Void, which was a good look. Imagine Event Horizon meets Assault on Precinct 13. And
I like
it's
both
why
those movies.
They're both dope. They're both great film. I mean, Event Horizon, I like. Assault on Precinct 13 is highly underrated.
I think Event Horizon is one of the most underrated sci-fi horror movies.
Event Horizon is a better Doom movie than the Doom movie.
Oh yeah. I love Event Horizon.
I mean, it basically is Doom. It's a hell gate opened up in space.
Sam Neill doesn't get enough work.
Oh yeah, he's very
Have
good.
any of you guys seen the Tudors?
I've not.
Okay, because he's brilliant in that as Cardinal Wolsey.
But as to say of the Void, you're essentially taking a film which had a shoestring budget, and it's why practical effects. CGI should only ever be used if you can't do it practically. Now, I was watching was it Bone Tomahawk, which I mentioned, I think off chat, but CGI never looks good. It
Well,
never ages well unless
I heard a special effects guy say it best where he goes, CGI's purpose should be to erase the strings.
Mm.
You know, and he was referring to like, you know, classic, say, space things where you could see the spaceship is on fucking strings, you know, against some black. That's where CGI is really great. When you use CGI to sort of touch up on practical effects a bit, or when you use it in conjunction with special or practical effects, that's when you really like two perfect examples are the original Jurassic Park and Spider-Man 2, like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man 2. Like in Jurassic Park, every time you saw part of a dinosaur, that was a puppet. That was animatronics. The only
Jurassic
time you
Park
saw the
still
whole
looks
thing
great.
was when you
Yeah.
saw the whole dinosaur moving around.
Yeah.
And like Spider-Man 2, every time you saw part of Doc Ock's tentacle, that was animatronics.
Yeah, because if you physically can't do it with practical, don't bother. I mean, talking about Jurassic Park, Stan Winston does practical practical really good. He's technically unaccredited for John Carpenter's The Thing. He did the whole dog scene with the transformation from the dog into the monster just before Keith Davis flamethrowers it. But you look at, say, I don't know if you guys saw the prequel thing they tried to do in 2011. But I've seen the pre-practical effects they tried to do for it before the actual publishing studio tried to rush them to do CGI. If you've seen the theatrical release, CGI is bad. It's you can tell it's CGI. I think if you want to talk about good practical effects or good anything, if you can tell it looks fake, then it's failed. It's just like makeup on a woman. If you can tell there's makeup on a woman, she's failed in doing it because you can tell. Yeah, that looks like you've just basically been face fucked by Krusty the Clown. Please go back to the mirror and do something else. You know, special effects should be subtle. They should never be. If they're going to be over the top, it's going to be amazingly over the top. Like let's say the ending of Kingsman, where everyone's heads exploding in massive fireworks. You know.
That was another movie I really didn't like that a lot of people liked.
What, Kingsman?
Yeah.
I would say it's better than Kick-Ass, seeing as it's the same director and
Kick-Ass
writer.
1 or Kick-Ass 2?
I think Kick-Ass 2 is underrated, but Kick-Ass 1 is overrated.
Kick-Ass 2, I actually thought it was one of the worst movies I've ever seen.
They just sort of blur together to me, both the Kick-Ass movies.
I like Kick-Ass 1. I do really like Colin Firth in general.
Oh, yeah.
Have you seen, okay, this is going to be weird. Has anyone here seen the Pride and Prejudice miniseries starring Colin Firth as Mr. Darcy?
No, I've not even read the book.
Oh, okay, well, it's excellent.
I feel ashamed because I'm the only English person there. Kick-Ass that's another weird thing when it comes to comic books, especially the English comic books with the sort of Kick-Ass stuff and the Kingsman, and I think this is something I was going to mention in pre-chat, but Judge Dredd is doing a Rebellion is actually finally doing an in-house TV show for Judge Dredd, and they're literally trying to. They may actually potentially even get Carl Urban to come back as Judge Dredd, but I don't know if
Judge Dredd supposed to be like a parody of like Rightus, but the like right-wing people love it?
He is a I was mentioning to someone earlier, but Judge Dredd, the Stallone one, gets the city almost close to perfect, and Judge Dredd himself in Carl Urban one is close to perfect. But the one thing both of them don't get is Judge Dredd's the world itself is tongue-in-cheek. Judge Dredd is the sort of guy who spends 3 months and millions of dollars worth of like forensic stuff just to get a guy who dropped a piece of gum on the street. That's who Judge Dredd is. he is tongue in cheek. The world is crazy. It's just that's what a lot. I don't think you can sell it. That's why Judge Dredd 3D was a great film. It's just that I feel like when it comes to like a crazy world like that, you do a sort of sane first film, and then the second film you can do the crazy stuff. And we're never going to see a second Dredd film. I'm being honest, we're never going to see a second Carl Urban Dredd film, and it's a massive shame. But if you read the comics, the world is crazy. It's not like dark, gritty as the first Carl Urban film would suggest. So
there's a few Judge Dredd Batman crossovers they did in the 90s, and it was handled like, as it's one of those crossovers where they acknowledge that it's like, two different universes. And like Judge Dredd like is chasing some criminal who used a dimensional portal machine or something to go to the DC universe. And like in all those crossovers, Dredd treats the fact that he has traveled to a parallel universe like it was fucking nothing. Like, like he just like his world is so fucking batshit crazy, and nothing it just doesn't phase him anymore. He's like, I chased a suspect to a fucking alternate universe. That's Tuesday.
I've got the I think Luke's got it, the Dredd versus Batman. I think the first one is I think Judge Death teams up with Scarecrow, but on the second part, Judge Dredd comes to Gotham City just to fucking arrest Batman for vigilantism.
Yeah, it's like I'm just gonna come to this fucking parallel universe, and like it's treated so much like it's nothing. Like he traveled to the next town.
Oh yeah, there's I'm being honest. Judge Dredd, as someone puts it, is basically Dirty Harry with a fascist badge, but just add a pinch of autism, and that's when you get the real Judge Dredd. There's that autistic nature to it, and I don't think Luke can get a panel, but there's like a panel where some woman who's basically a judge is basically admitting her love for Judge Dredd, and then you just see a scene where like they're holding each other. And Judge Dredd just says like 3 months, and then it goes to the next panel. It says 3 months committing a close relation with a judge, and he just arrests her. That's what people don't get. I mean, it always with the 2080 comic, because I do believe a few of their games are going to be coming to Nintendo Switch. Rogue Trooper is one. It's basically just tongue-in-cheek satire. Don't take the world seriously. It's why. It's a shame because neither Stallone's Dredd is going to come back as much as I dislike Stallone and love the world, but who knows? It depends, because I mean, I was actually thinking of comic books which Marvel should revive. It's a shame we probably will not see another Wesley Snipes Blade film, seeing as that was basically the start of all of the comic stuff in terms of like 90s and early noughts sort of comic books for Marvel.
No.
We got Spawn. Well, that's not going to get. Is that going to get? Do you think that's going to get a reboot?
I don't know. Maybe. Depends how desperate they get. They're going to get desperate eventually.
Well, I pointed out a few weeks ago that, like, I mean, look, those movie studios are going to start scooping up those independent superhero movies here soon, because, I mean, think about it. Like, everything Marvel and DC are now spoken for. I mean, DC obviously is all under Warner Brothers. Marvel is Disney, except for like X-Men and Fantastic Four are still Fox still has the rights for them, but nobody else is going to get the rights for them. If they leave Fox, they go back to Disney, and that's the end of that. So there's nothing else on the table except for smaller independent shit. So you're going to see a push for movie studios trying to get Spawn, trying to get shit like that. I mentioned before on here that like movie studios have repeatedly bought the rights to Rob Liefeld's Youngblood over and over again. Like, I think it's like 3 different studios bought the rights and, then realized that there was nothing they could fucking do with it. And, the rights just expire. Rob Liefeld is making a good amount of money selling the rights to movie studios, and nobody's going to make a movie about it.
I kind of feel they could make a decent movie with Spawn.
Oh yeah, Spawn's not a bad concept. I mean, it's a little goofy, but there's a good amount that can be
I
done.
don't know. They made a good movie out of Guardians of the Galaxy, so goofy isn't necessarily a problem.
There's very little that I was thinking the other day because I routinely on here will defend the Green Lantern movie over and over again, and I actually thought of a criticism I would lob at it that I've never heard anybody lob at it yet. Because most people, it's just like they don't like Ryan Reynolds, or they think it was too much CGI or too busy, which I can understand those, but I don't necessarily agree with them. One thing I think that there's a character arc in that movie where Hal Jordan gets the ring, and then he pussies out, and is like, oh, I don't know if I could do this, and then mans up, nuts up, and becomes a hero. I think that's almost the opposite character arc that Hal Jordan should have had. The more I think about it, because Hal Jordan, the whole reason the ring picks him is because he's such a cocky, fearless motherfucker that if anything, the real growth, the real character arc in an origin story should be he gets the ring and he is all gun-ho, hot damn, I'm going to go kick some ass. And he's got lots of raw talent. In fact, that's actually why Sinestro takes him under his wing. In the comic, Sinestro was his mentor before he became his enemy. And because of just so much raw talent in this guy. But the problem is that he is arrogant and cocky. So the character arc should be, and what it usually is in his origin story, is that early on something beats some humility into his ass. So in the one criticism I will give towards the Green Lantern movie, and in all fairness, I never hear anyone lob this at it. Maybe people have, but I've never heard it. Is that Hal Jordan's character arc is sort of the opposite of what it should be. That said, though, I still think it's a decent movie, and it's better than Superman versus Batman or something like that. I'd rather watch it again than go watch Suicide Squad.
I'd rather watch I don't know. The only superhero movie I probably wouldn't watch is Iron Man 2 or Thor 2 over Suicide Squad, but Suicide Squad is awful.
I'd watch Thor 2 way over that way, just because I like the bits where Jane Foster's assistants are joking around and throwing shoes into the dimensional portals. That makes me laugh.
I liked Thor 2. I thought it was a good flick.
I like the actual character bits with Thor 2 with again Jane Foster and Thor and that kind of shit. But the actual villain of that, I mean, I could barely remember him 10 minutes after watching the movie.
It was the same villain as Thor 1.
Can I just say,
it's a dark villain with black eyes.
I read a newspaper because the guy who played the villain in Thor 2 is a famous English actor. He played one of the Doctor Who's, Christopher Eccleston. He literally said in a newspaper interview, I quote you not, I did it for the paycheck. I don't care about the character. I'm being honest. If I will levy one massive criticism to Marvel, which I don't think DC has, but that's because maybe they haven't actually had the chance to do it. Marvel's villains are really bad. They've maybe got one or two. I can only think of two villains I like.
I think
there's two villains I'd say. I
Loki's all right. He's barely a villain. He's almost just sort of.
That's why when
he's halfway between a villain and a hero.
I would say the two best villains they've had is Ultron. I think Avengers 2
Ultron's probably the best.
My second one, just for the fact that I think he's the only villain who did anything correctly, I think Daniel Bruhl's Zemo was I can't find a flaw with the character unless you look at the comic book version.
Sorry, who is this?
The guy in Captain America
Civil War.
He kind of won.
Yeah, he did. Maybe it was more the actual story as opposed to the actual execution, but I think Daniel Bruhl did a very good job with
Here's the thing. Look, that character in the movie has nothing, and I can't emphasize that word enough, to do with Zemo from the comic books, any version of Zemo from the comic books. And that said, though,
which character was Zemo?
Zemo was basically just another Red Skull. He was another Nazi Baron dude.
Who is he in the movie? I don't even remember him.
He's this guy who family members of his had died because of
that guy. Okay, the guy who basically manipulated the whole thing to get them to.
And here's the thing: if they'd have named him something else, he's such a compelling character. You could have then introduced him in the comic books.
Oh yeah, it was a similar
Like
case.
he
with
should
Iron
not
Man
have been
3.
named Zemo just because he had nothing to do with Zemo, and he was a compelling enough character. He should have just been named something else.
I
Yeah.
really liked him. I especially liked when he's like, "Oh, whatever was a failed state long before."
As I say, same with obviously the is it the Mandarin from Iron Man 3? People liked Ben Kingsley, but that wasn't because he was a bad guy. It's just he was a funny joke for 5 minutes. There was no villain to it. But I'd say Daniel Bruhl's character is probably either that or Ultron is the best villain Marvel's had.
I really like Hugo Weaving Red Skull.
I've not seen the first
the
four
movie was
or the
kinda
first
bad, so-
Captain America.
I'm sorry, Arjun. What'd you say?
The movie was kind of bad, though.
Yeah, it was good for what it was. I mean,
I thought Ronan was a pretty awful villain.
oh, Ronan was terrible, and as I've said numerous times, I mean, it was cool for me to see Ronan just because he was a relatively obscure character. I never thought I'd see in the big screen, but I never gave a fuck about him in the movie. And as I've said numerous times on here, as much as I absolutely adore Thanos, and I think he's one of the greatest villains either Marvel or DC has ever had, none of the movies have yet to really give me much of a reason to give a fuck about him. Guardians of the Galaxy did a little bit, but still, if you don't know anything about the comics, you really have no reason to be excited about Thanos showing up yet.
Yeah.
For Guardians, though, it almost worked because whatchamacallit, Ronan was such a shitty villain, and it was kind of comedic anyways. It kind of felt like a parody. So it like almost worked that he was that bad.
You know, it kind of did because it almost felt like Ronan felt
like he was just
Ronan
camp.
just kind of felt like a fuck up. You know what I mean? And like it almost felt like that was on purpose.
Like he had no backstory really. Like nothing was really explained about him. He was just kind of there.
And that's the funny thing because you'd think, and I think I was mentioning this to someone else earlier today, Christopher Nolan managed to make a $1 billion film out of Batman, one of the most famous comic book heroes of all time. Zack Snyder and obviously the MCEU, not MCEU, the DCEU, can't even make 900 million out of what is arguably the two most famous superheroes of all time. And yet I always find DC's villains are usually good. They're usually interesting. Like Lex Luthor, there's never been a good film iteration of Lex Luthor. It's always been either TV shows or comic books.
I like Kevin Spacey's Lex Luthor. That movie
He's
might
good.
have its flaws, but I like his performance.
He is basically the best casting you could ever have for Lex Luthor, but it's just the script didn't allow it.
I mean, he looks
Kevin,
like Lex Luthor.
yeah, he is Lex Luthor, but the script just like Lex Luthor doesn't go onto a random place made of rocks and kryptonite. He's the guy who sends people to do that. He's like the big bad dude at the end.
Well,
like,
he was just complete shit in general.
Well, the versions of Lex Luthor I always liked in the comics was when you had a status quo where Lex Luthor is, by all accounts, according to the general public, a legitimate businessman, and he's doing all this villainous shit secretly, because I think that plays well off Superman. I mean, look,
Yeah.
like it's very interesting that, I mean, Superman could, in theory, just go up and beat the shit out of this guy, kill him if he wanted to. But he's restrained from doing that by his own sense of law and order and his own sense of morality. He has to prove to everyone who Lex Luthor is. So it becomes a problem that Superman, the most powerful guy in the world, can't just punch.
Yeah.
That is much more interesting to me than necessarily when he's running around in his battle suit or something like that.
Let me think. Where's some other Marvel villains? Okay, I thought the Ice Giant King sucked and the Elf guy sucked. I guess
Why?
Loki was supposed to be the main villain of the first Thor.
was
I would say it was
Loki-
more the villain of Avengers, but
he's an anti-hero. You know he's never going to kill Thor. He's just going to be that random element that runs around with massive amounts of autism. He's the guy you tolerate. The reason why, and I think I know you defend this Bechtloff Iron Man 2. The reason why I give Iron Man 2 as much shit as it deserves is because of the production, the actual. Like, if you look at
it's a mess. I just think
yeah.
there's a lot of. I just think there are good parts in it.
It's got great parts to it. I'd say it has Mickey Rourke, especially as the only guy who's come out of the early Marvel films and has actually admitted that Marvel fucked him over, as opposed to, let's say, John Favreau, who directed Iron Man 1 and 2, who basically didn't admit it. Same with even Edward Norton. Edward Norton got screwed over after The Incredible Hulk. They said he was basically someone who isn't uncooperative. And his lawyers basically fought that. But Marvel's an interesting case because Iron Man 2...
Who admitted that Marvel screwed them over?
Basically, if you...
Mickey Rourke.
Mickey Rourke was the bad guy for Iron Man 2. And in the interviews, he wanted to play a character which would be... Because here's the thing, you watch Iron Man 1, it's basically a character who was basically an arms dealer he's changing. He's trying to be a good man. Iron Man 2 is the idea of that his past is catching up with him. His father's sins is catching up with him. The fact that his father and his legacy may not be as solid as he is. There may have been people who he screwed over, which Iron Man 3 does quite well, which in terms of fixing, but it's somewhat of a mixed film.
You know what Iron Man 2 does that I absolutely love? Two things it does that I love. And I can forgive its other sins to some extent. Like I said, I mean, it's not the best movie in the world, but there's basically none of the Avengers movie universe things that I wouldn't at least be willing to sit through again. But two things I absolutely adored in Iron Man 2. Number one, Black Widow was never portrayed better than in that movie. She was actually shown as doing real spy stuff. And the actress was never in better shape than in that movie.
Oh, yeah, she was smoking.
Bad shape in the other movies, but holy shit, was she a hard body in that movie. And also, that scene where he's getting interrogated by Congress, and he's all like, you can all kiss my ass and that kind of stuff. I mean, Tony Stark is based off Howard Hughes. That was one of the main inspirations for the character. And Howard Hughes very famously told Congress to, and I quote, kiss both sides of his ass. So I adore that scene where he just, proceeded to make absolute fools over this congressional hearing he was called in front of.
Like in the first movie, I am Iron Man.
Yeah, he was going to go off the head, just like, yeah, I'm Iron Man. All right. I'm going to go ahead and bring some callers in here. Let's see. Which caller?
Have we covered the sponsors?
Actually, we have not. Thanks for reminding me. Okay, yeah, sponsors. Sponsors this week are Race Riot Apparel, where you can get you some good shitlord shirts. And also, he is accepting, submissions. If you have some art ideas you'd like to bring to his attention, he's easy enough to get in contact with. I think there's contact information on the page, or it's like Race Riot Apparel at Gmail, or I think it is. Also, if you follow that link, there will be a discount involved. So do check out the sponsor. Good shirts there you can check out. And also Reconnaissance Man by Aaron Clary. A good book if you find yourself at a crossroads in life. Not sure what you want to do. It's a book that'll help you kind of take stock of everything, of what exactly it is you want and how to best go after that. So do check that out. That is available in both audio book format, physical book format, or Kindle. So 3 different ways to check that book out. Also, down below, you'll see the tip jar, where if you appreciate what I do, you could send me some shekels, and that's greatly appreciated. I've been meaning to stream a lot more. I've streamed a lot more here recently. This past week, however, though, allergies were absolutely kicking my ass. And they usually don't. I usually don't suffer that bad from them, but this year, I don't know if the pollen count was exceptionally high, or maybe I'm just getting old, or probably a combination of the two. But the treegasm in the air this year really kicked my ass, so I did not stream much this week. However, generally, I am streaming just about every other day on this channel. So I am trying to put out some good content while I have spare time. So if you appreciate the content, I appreciate any tips of any size there, folks. That helps me keep doing what I'm doing.
Mm.
All right. So, yeah, that's our sponsors and whatnot. I sent out an invitation to, I don't know. Well, the one caller, I'll give him a minute here to hop in. I don't know what the hell this Skype name is. It's Teuton. I don't even know how you pronounce that. But we'll see if they hop in. The other thing that was kind of cool this week, I picked up at the comic book shop this week, and I don't read many comics anymore because most of them suck ass right now. But there's a Star Trek miniseries that started called Star Trek TNG. It's Broken Mirror is the subtitle, and it's basically like the Mirror universe but at TNG era. And that's kind of interesting because like TNG, like the Next Generation, spent most of the first season ripping off episodes of the original show, and the one episode that they would have been, justified in doing their own version of would have been Mirror Mirror, and they never did. DS9 did a Mirror Universe episode, but yeah, TNG for whatever reason never did. And so far, this is only the first issue of this miniseries, but so far it reads like the best episode of TNG they never made. So yeah, I highly recommend it. Actually, like Data's all like got like he's taking off his arm and he's putting on like different arms and shit like that.
Does he have like a machine gun one?
Yeah, probably. He's got like all these different fucking attachments that he puts on his arm. And like instead of being a counselor, Troy is an inquisitor. And like she like mind rapes people to get information.
That sounds awesome, actually.
Yeah, it's pretty good. It's pretty damn good.
I always loved the Mirror Universe stuff.
There was like a Star Trek novel back in the day where they mentioned something about the Mirror Universe. That it's actually like kind of there's an actual scientific theory that the universe has an antimatter kind of flip side.
Bizarro World?
Sort of like that, basically. But it's just a, and I don't know how credible this theory is. I don't, have enough of an understanding of physics to correct this theory. So it's just interesting that there is an actual theory out there. But I actually read in a Star Trek novel years ago, I remember that they sort of explained that the Mirror Universe was probably an antimatter, like kind of other side of the coin of our universe. And like if you traveled from one to another, you basically convert it from matter to antimatter. You would convert to whatever that was, and that's actually Marvel does that with the negative zone in their continuity, and it sort of explains why, if you think about it, why the history of the Mirror Universe would, for lack of a better term, parallel ours. Like it's not a true divergent history. It's not like one thing went different and then things branched off from there. You know what I mean? It's truly like things happen, just darker.
So what, you're telling me there's a universe where Movie Bob gets laid?
Yeah, there's a universe where Movie Bob is actually not a shithead. Like maybe we're the evil universe because Movie Bob is evil and he has a goatee. So maybe we're the shitty universe and the other universe is all nice.
Oh, sorry, I had to take my shot. I just mentioned Movie Bob.
Yeah, maybe we're the shitty universe. Who knows? We're the evil universe. The other universe.
Is this like Lex or something, where we're the dark zone?
Well, hands up, everyone who's got a goatee. I've got a goatee, kind of. I mean, I think Kaiser's going to have one in about 7 years' time.
Has anyone here ever seen Lex?
No, I don't think I have.
Good. That is all.
But yes, Star Trek Broken Mirror is a pretty damn good series so far. It's worth checking out. At the very least, I'm sure in a few months, once it wraps up, it'll be available in like a trade. I would check it out at least when it's reprinted in a trade. It's if you at all have any fondness of TNG, this comic is worth checking out.
Just a side thing before you get your guest in, caller. Haven't they just in terms of comics, they've just officially done Mr. Benahan has finally done his reveal in the current DC Universe comics.
Okay, well, we haven't officially seen him yet, but we basically have revealed that it's him behind it. And they wrapped up that Button story in Batman and Flash. But again, it kind of wrapped up on a cliffhanger, and they revealed that there's going to be a comic series starting in October, I think it is, called Superman Doomsday Clock, which is going to be primarily Superman at odds with Dr. Manhattan in this. And I'm very excited about it. I like where DC is going with a lot of this stuff. I am looking forward to it a great deal. I thought the Button was a really good read. DC is slowly restoring things back to its pre-New 52 state, and I like that. Kaiser, every time you fucking call into this show, you call in through a different Skype. Why do you do that?
It's so that you can't tell my identity, Goy. You know, it's a very risky business being a guns lobbyist for Israel. I can't get tracked down, you know. I want those weaponized autist on pole to track me down finally.
Is it a different school computer?
What's on your mind? I mean, I'm sure you got homework, so let's make it quick.
Yeah, no. Homework 2017. No, they just have us do an oral exam of slam poetry.
Dude, I'm in need. I don't even know what fucking day of the week it is half the time. Don't act like I know when school's out.
Yeah. No, it's you just gotta repeat that there are 57 genders and you'll pass all your classes. But no. I don't log in from a different Skype account, by the way. I just changed my name because I'm an autist. But anyways, I was gonna mention, so I had there are two interesting dialogues this week, which were pretty interesting. I have had, of course, I could tell you the story of my Latin class, which I think I'll do first. So basically, I do Latin because the only other options are Spanish, French, and German. I don't care to learn German because I might as well learn Turkish. I don't want to learn French because I don't plan on going to Quebec. And I don't want to learn Spanish because I don't want to live in a third world country. So I take Latin because at least if I decide to, it would help me with being a lawyer or a doctor. So I took Latin. Of course, however, we do have our Latin teacher is a outright Marxist. So we get nice little lectures about the evils of capitalism. Once in the middle of a Latin class, he started playing the Internationale in a Latin version of it. So we got to listen through that. He gets to explain to all these people who don't care about politics about how the workers' revolution is inevitable and how it's a great thing that it's happening. And so it changed pretty much what a good class should be, which is Latin. Generally, guys who learn it seem to be smarter. But no, I don't get that because it's much more important to learn about the privileges of the bourgeoisie than to learn about how to actually, learn a useful language. So that's my Latin class. Before I go on to the next one, is there any thoughts?
I don't know. Just, this is why you don't send a kid to public school, I guess. I mean, and also, this teacher needs to be thrown out of a helicopter. But beyond that, I mean, look, generally, here's the thing, like, communists are fucking boring. That's the other thing. Like, after a while, it gets, like, who the fuck wants to argue with them anymore? It's like, just get the fuck out of my helicopter already.
That actually reminds me of the Netflix series Dear White People. And over time, these people just start repeating themselves, and they're like, okay, we've seen these characters before. Will they do something interesting now?
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, there comes a point where I'm just bad at like arguing with them after a while because like they're fucking boring. They're fucking boring. They're dead behind the eyes. They just. I mean, it's fun to laugh at like communists. It's fun to laugh at the fucking We Was Kangs guys and shit like that, and the feminists. But after a while, it's like, and the fucking fedoras. After a while, it's like, don't you have anything else to fucking say?
Well, it's just copy paste them. Like whenever they try to troll me, they just post the same shit. over and over and over. It's just boring.
The best way to explain these people, they're like NPCs in a video game. When you've exhausted all of the chat options, they just repeat the same line. As I say, I'm coming up to as someone who lives in London, I'm coming up to the UK election, and it's because I live in London. It's basically vote Labour, and then I look at these people literally parrot the same lines, and then you explain the point why they're wrong, and it's like in through one ear, out the other ear, and then they just keep parroting the same point. You can't talk to them.
A commie might get nervous. Man approaches with his means drawn.
I mean, they're not, well, it's like that Futurama bit where it's like maybe it just learned to talk like as a parlor trick, like Fry.
Well, I used to believe in the minimum wage. I used to believe in the minimum. I used to believe in the minimum wage, and then I took a Thomas Sowell to the knee.
The gods gave you two companies, so you both taxed them out of business. So that's the Latin story. It's not as interesting in a second. I just wanted to talk about why conservatives and libertarians need to be gassed until they're all dead, because I got to have a fun little dialogue with my father the other night where I learned that bestiality really is a victimless crime, and that people who commit it should not be imprisoned or punished because it doesn't affect anybody.
Well, I think they should get like court-ordered mental health treatment.
I think they should be thrown in an asylum, but apparently that's Nazi, because the problem. I was explained that the problem with that is that, well, you're forcing society to pay taxes for that. So then I got a bit edgy and I said, well, I mean, you don't have to pay that much tax if you do the cheaper option, which is that it only costs 25 cents for a Smith & Wesson bullet. That didn't get received well. And they were like, oh, so you're going to be like the Nazis? And I'm like, well, I can't tell you that because I don't want to get in trouble right now.
You're the guys who want to abort, who want to euthanize the disabled, so
yeah, and I've never understood what
it doesn't affect you. All right, where they do it, it's legal. They don't want no negativity.
I thought these people liked animal rights.
Yeah, I learned that
apparently an animal doesn't have the right to not be fucking sexually assaulted.
Yeah, I learned that it's okay to have sex with horses, but it's not okay to have sex with cats.
Well, I guess you got to draw the line somewhere, huh?
Oh, yeah. So, it's amazing. And animals don't have rights, of course, because he's one of the people who assumes that animals don't have any sort of imperative or right to be respected in any fashion, because apparently if you can eat it, then you can also have sex with it. So, I guess I should start fucking a watermelon.
I've had weirder dates.
Yes. Also, have any of you guys? Do any of you guys go on poll?
Of course.
I don't go on any of the chans. I just can't stand the interface.
Which ones of you do you go on, Argent?
Never been on.
So, I go on them. That and TV.
What do you think of the r/the Donald invasion?
I've heard about that. That's been quite interesting with the Redditors and the Great Purge that's happening.
So basically, I'll explain it to people who haven't been on poll. Basically put, so there's the kinds of alt-right people, not all alt-right, some just far-right, who go on poll and have been there for years. And I've been on poll for about a year, so I'm not as old as them, so I won't claim to speak for all of them. But generally, I can tell you that they're very intelligent. They sometimes are a bit weird, but they make good shit posts generally, and they're really fun to listen to. Well, this was all fine and dandy until around the end of Gamergate, when you have assholes like Sargon start to appropriate all our fucking memes like Pepe and create shitty memes like Kekistan. And of course, r/the Donald becomes a host of all these people. So what do? Well, obviously, they got to prove how edgy they are to their friends like Sargon. I will go on polls, so therefore I'm a funny memer. Take that, liberals. And they just shit up the memes. They make it all shit. If you want a good example, look up the meme MAGApeds. It's a good summary of them. Basically, you got different groups. You got the token minority. I think Murdoch. If you watch the new Murdoch video, they stuffed it up really well. Basically, you have the token minority, like black guy in a MAGA hat. Wow, how cool is he? His opinion is more valuable because he has a different color skin and a different race. And then there's token Jew. He's nice. He's new to the movement, but we should totally trust him. Then you have, your typical teenage boy. I'll admit that I was like this for a while, where it's like, get the trigger the leftists. That's the most important thing in your life. So basically, all of these people go around, fuck up our board, and I just want to put out a little message that I think Mr. Medicare also put out, which is that if you've ever been on Reddit, please just jump off a bridge with a rope around your neck. Nobody likes you. Nobody wants you on our board. Stop pretending we want you. And please die. Okay? So is that okay? All right. And that's my little rant on Reddit.
Nice.
So, yeah.
All
Is there
right.
anything?
I think I'm going to move on to the next caller because I don't have anything to add because I don't give a fuck about the chance. I really don't. I just... I can't even fucking navigate those places.
Kaiser, you get one upvote.
I get one photo. All right. I can't take you. I'm going bye.
All right. Yeah, I don't give a fuck about the chance. All right. Next caller. And hang on. I'm sorry, I don't have my mouse. I'm using a shitty mouse that's on the laptop. So.
So in the intervening time, any topics you guys wanted to raise?
Oh, did I mention so some of the NRX guys, and I know that's that's maybe a name you haven't heard in a while if you like me. But some of the NRX guys, and I'm not going to name names because I follow the guy on Twitter. He seems like a nice guy, but he was all like, basically, it sounded like he wants to start an NRX fashion company, and I'm like, look, man, I'd be happy for you to prove me wrong, but that sounds like a terrible idea.
Sounds like one of the worst ideas I've ever heard.
Like, honestly, because first of all, like, I like some of the NRX guys. I like some of the guys that have come out of that. I know, like, Anti-Dem was involved with those guys for a while. But they are insufferably fucking smug. And anything they appropriate as their fashion thing is going to become the new fucking fedora. Right? You're going to ruin it for anybody else that wants to wear it. And that's assuming you're not wearing some ridiculous fucking Renaissance fair looking shit in the first place. I just do not see that going well at all.
Hello?
Hey, caller, what's on your mind?
Okay. First off, and this is actually going to tail into my topic, I need to start placing a bet and pool with my liberal friends on the Trump impeachment. Just then whenever they're like, oh, he's going to be impeached this time, I'll be like, $50 that it doesn't happen. See how that racks up in 8 years. Anyway, every time I hear new stuff about, oh, this might be it, and they're like, oh, they found new stuff on Russia, I always just think of this every time.
I don't even give people the benefit of the doubt anymore on this shit. I don't even try and explain to them why they're wrong. Somebody's like, oh, they found something in Russia. I'm like, no, they didn't.
Yeah.
But no, they didn't.
Well,
no, they didn't. You're wrong. You're fucking wrong. I don't even want to hear it anymore.
Yeah, every time I just think of that George Costanza clip of nothing.
And you know what else? The left always were so afraid of being a conspiracy theorist. You're a conspiracy theorist. And that's just what I call them anymore. I'm like, Oh, we found something on Russia. I'm like, how's that tinfoil hat feeling?
Yeah. Well, anyway, so basically the topic I want to discuss, figured I can segue. Basically, let's just entertain the option. Okay, let's just play the what if we're on Earth 2. Okay, turns out that Trump is a puppet of Putin. Putin is this grand puppet master, conspirator, you know, controlling, pulling the strings and stuff. So, and of course, all my liberal friends like, oh yeah, he's going to be impeached. It's going to be great. Now, here's my question. What next? Like, I really want to ask him what you're playing next, because it's like, you know, it's like you do realize that means that Pence will slide in, right? And last I checked, you despise him. I mean, and it's like, what's next? You're just going to try to find something on him, get him removed, and we just go down the list until you
Paul Ryan.
You like?
I mean, or whoever Pence appoints as his VP, actually. Like, this doesn't go well for you.
Yeah, because again, you guys hate Pence, so what? Is it just more months of you until you find someone in the cabinet you like, which is not going to be anyone, or second option, what do they just think that magically Hillary's just going to walk in? Which, by the way, considering the cabinet change still going, like just still picking stuff, because every time he tries to appoint someone, the left shrieks like an autistic ring wraith. It's like, okay, we're already dragging out this process, and if we do that and then like somehow bring Hillary in, it's just going to delay us even more. And of course, it's just going to have to continue us with our pants down, and everyone's going to be laughing at us because we're taking so long for the freaking seat change. And then of course, or maybe they think that this is just me thinking wildly, but I've seen people like this, so it wouldn't surprise me. Maybe they think that if they wish upon a star really, really hard, Bernie Sanders might get the spot somehow.
Here's how Bernie can still win.
Yeah, no, they all throughout the election are like, this is how Bernie can still win. I'm like, wow.
Well, in short, what it is they don't think. Okay? These people are fucking retarded. All right? I mean, they're socialists. That means they can't do math. All right? Basically, if you're socialist, understand that. If you're socialist, and yes, this goes even for some of the jackasses who call themselves, I'm a right-wing socialist, whatever the fuck that means. It means you can't do math. You don't understand how numbers fucking work. That's what a socialist is.
I'm a libertarian.
Cold hard numbers don't add up for fucking socialism. All right? And I mean, numbers are the most basic fucking thing. 2 and 2 equals 4. All right? This isn't up for debate.
That's racist.
So yeah, these people don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They don't think. They don't fucking think.
Never ask them what's your plan after that. Like, they never have a second step.
Was getting caught part of your plan?
Of course. Sorry, but I don't know if you just talking about socialism. Venezuela. Have you guys seen the new news in Venezuela? It's still erupting in flames. The current socialist question to it is, does it have enough socialism to make it work?
Oh, well, no. See, I heard that it doesn't have enough white people to make socialism work.
Oh, no. But guys, Denmark has totally gotten socialism work, guys, because Denmark is totally a socialist country.
Oh, yeah. I have to admit, the one Gavin McInnes video that makes me laugh is the feminist who talks about socialism, and he gets her to admit, so you're telling me socialism only works when white people do it?
Yeah, it's like, what countries have better systems? And he goes, so countries with more white people?
Oh, no, one of my favorite was on like some part of Fox Business. I can't remember who the guy was interviewed, like who the guy was. He was one of the regular anchors, and he had one of those college, like, oh, free college, Bernie supporter college chicks on there, and he didn't even like press her hard. Because he asked, okay, well, who's going to pay for this? And they naturally go, oh, the 1%. All he did was ask her a second question, and she completely fell apart at the seams. Like, she collapsed in on herself. Like, he didn't even do anything. He just asked her a second question. She just completely imploded in on herself on live TV. It's like, wait, there's more? But yeah, so every time I hear impeach Trump, I'm like, okay, what's your plan afterwards?
Also, assuming they impeached him, that still doesn't remove him from office.
That's still more like, what's it, like a month or at least they think that's just going to be like Nixon, where Nixon never went through the process. He just said, I'm out. It's like, no, that's still at least months worth of trials and bureaucrats and all that crap.
The impeachment process is, I'm being honest, as much as we did disagree with a lot of the stuff on it, I still remember election night. I still have fond memories, even as someone who's not a US citizen, of November the 8th and staying up and looking at things like NY Times saying it's a 95% chance of Hillary Clinton coming in. The chances, if you were to go in England right now and place a bet on Donald Trump being the winner of the 2020 US election, it's still 2-1. Best odds. So if you were to put $100 on, you'd make $100 profit. You'd make $200 in total. He's still going to win. I actually had a weird theory going on. I think 2020, if there is going to be a big war, 2020 is going to be the big opportunity for it. But that's a side point. But he's not going to get impeached. If he's going to get impeached, like you look at Comey. I don't know if you guys seen some of Paul Joseph Watson stuff, but Comey may have accidentally fucking committed perjury with some of his stuff. I don't know if you guys have been following that. With, he mysteriously releases this memo a few days after he gets fired, which also coincidentally goes in line with the fact that this Seth Richards guy is actually potentially the WikiLeaks source.
Oh,
which,
the Seth Rich story's picking up a lot of traction lately. I'm hoping that actually goes somewhere. And that needs to be resolved.
Hillary Clinton, this is not even when I try to argue Hillary Clinton is a bad person, this doesn't even need to come out from the Donald Trump 2016 election. Her and William Jefferson Clinton are scumbags. You do not need to look at this election. You don't even have to look at any election. They are scumbags through and through. I know a lot of fedoras. And they were saying, they like Christopher Hitchens, for example, and they'd say, Christopher Hitchens would support Hillary. It's like, no, you don't know Christopher Hitchens.
He has a whole book about how much he hated Clinton.
Yeah, he fucking hates them. He would probably say Trump's a buffoon, but Clinton's, holy shit. 20 years in politics. There was a funny, I don't know if you've seen the graph when people try and correlate years in politics to actual popularity as a president. There is no correlation when it comes to years in politics with actual popularity and experience and actual likability as a president. There is no correlation. You look at George Washington, he has 0 years in terms of, let's say, political experience, and yet he's the third most popular US president. Abraham Lincoln has got 4 years. Hillary Clinton's got 20 years. Barack Obama came out of fucking nowhere. I'm being honest. Clinton should have technically won the fucking was it the 08 election?
Yeah, 08. Yeah,
Obama didn't fucking exist.
It was 08, but
Obama existed in 07. No one fucking knew him before 07.
Yeah, I actually do think that if Obama didn't show up, I do think because of how everyone was so tired of Bush and Republicans that they would have been yeah, screw it, we'll go with Hillary. I think that would have been, because it's are we going to go with McCain? It's one of those things where it's boy, this is a terrible option. But granted, Barry didn't turn out to be that great, but again, we didn't have the element of hindsight in front of us.
Yeah.
But what was there was something I was going to mention. Oh yeah, no, the joke I always make with Hillary whenever I bring her up, I'm talking about her and her past, it's the woman has more skeletons the woman has more skeletons in her closet than the French catacombs. There's just so much baggage with her. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I just wanted to discuss the whole let's just play the what if game. It's okay, so you got rid of Trump. What's step 2? It's you don't have one. And it's funny because again, the whole impeachment process, which again, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but last I checked, we've only had 2 presidents actually quote unquote impeached, and nothing ever came from it. One was Bill, and the other one was all the way back in I think the 1800s, President Harding. But again, each time they never go through the actual process. Nixon never actually went through the process. He said, "Yeah, I'm just going to get out before shit hits the fan." So yeah. I think that exhausts my topic. So, Bechtloff, if you want to add anything?
Well, I'm going to bring in the last caller then. Thanks for calling in.
Thank you.
And we'll probably wrap this up shortly.
Okay, thank you for having me. Enjoy being on the show. Thank you.
Alrighty. And send in a message on the Skypes there. And boom. All right. Bring in the last caller.
All right, hey, gents.
How's it going there, caller? What's on your mind?
Oh, good. Where's my mind? I was trying to ask you this question yesterday, but I guess it was just kind of busy with the chat. Like, what I was thinking about this for a couple of days because of all the stuff that's been going on in Europe, and I was gonna touch upon also another point. That's my second one, but the first one. What do you actually think of like a lot of these other like radical, like these other nationalist movements that you don't hear about? Things like the Nordic Resistance or things Casa Pound in Italy or.
Well,
like
I mean, on individual levels, I don't know tremendous amounts about them. I just think the fact that all of them are popping up in such a relatively short time span shows you that, I mean, things are definitely shifting in that direction. I mean, I think there's no better example than the fact that somehow the fucking Philippines managed to find a guy with huge balls to lead them. I don't know how that happened. I didn't think there was anything left of fucking ladyboys on that whole island. But somehow that incredibly selected group of people managed to find a strong K-type to lead them. And that shows you how things are shifting. So, I mean, generally, I don't know a lot about this or that little nationalist organization. I just think it's very telling that that's the general direction things are moving in.
Yeah, I was going to say that because most of these organizations are fascist in particular. Like Casa Pound's a fascist group. They like have a lot of the La Falange. I have a lot of Falange groups in Spain. You have the Golden Dawn in Greece. And I was thinking about this yesterday because I was watching Arnav Arjan's like videos. I think that probably if there's like another big wave of nationals, I'd say it's going to be more fascistic movements that actually will put something forth. I think like
Probably.
the Mediterranean fascism will grow.
See, I've actually heard it
Yeah,
argued fascism is barely a system so much as it was just an anti-communist thing.
It was a system. Since World War II, it got crushed. So therefore, you never really got to see.
It was sort of I mean, look, I'm hardly a fascist myself, but if the choice is fascism or communism, well, that's no choice at all. I know what the hell I'm picking all day and night.
We already know I'm a fascist, so that's my obvious choice. You also have another one like in Slovakia that's starting to rise up there. I don't know if there's any in Hungary, but I know there's a lot of populism obviously in Germany, and there's things like that. But Germany, I think Germany's probably gonna be screwed very soon, just because of how they put like the AfD put a dike in for their leader, and the only other nationalist groups are like considered national socialists, but they're like fringe like groups. So I don't know how Germany's gonna fare in the next couple of years. And the MBU in Britain, I forgot about them too. New British Union. If you're wondering what that means.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't know the details of a lot of these groups, but I mean, I certainly have my issues with fascism, but the left needs to be punished. The left needs to be dealt with.
I actually like to hear your issues with fascism because obviously me being one, it's like economically, let's just say as an example. You can think enemy.
Like I said, I'm just generally more libertarian leaning. I'm just generally more leave people alone. That said, though, I mean, my brand of libertarianism is a lot more Christopher Cantwell than Reason Magazine.
Oh yeah, like the Pinochet was throw people at helicopters. I just honestly, companies need to be shot though. It's rather bullets are cheaper than helicopter rides than me.
Well, yes, but you always have to remember that there's a place for theatrics. You don't throw every single one out of a helicopter. You throw the prominent ones out of the helicopter.
Like Grover Fur.
You make an example. You theatrics of it. That screaming till they hit the ground and splatter like like the sack of shit they are. That's considerably more of a spectacle than a bullet in the head.
Oh yeah, and also I heard about the thing on the whole Bernie Sanders one. Goes, I went to the free college. That's just so stupid how socialist it's. Because I'm not a big capitalist advocate or a socialist advocate. I think honestly both, in my opinion, are pretty bad, but for different reasons. Obviously, that argument on Twitter a while back, but we'll leave that in the sand. But like with the socialists, she was like, oh, and like she didn't really have any other like contingency. But that's the problem with modern socialism. Even in the past, they had some kind of end goal to pursue. Now it's shallow and like, oh, I want free college. What are you gonna do? Who's gonna pay for it? Duh. And that's why I think a lot of them are just a joke. They're not gonna get anywhere at this rate. That is.
Oh yeah, the socialists are a fucking absolute joke. They don't. They imagine that they're reaching towards some sort of Star Trek utopia when really they're reaching towards fucking mud huts. Okay, they're not. They're not going to explore the galaxy. They're going to explore the boundaries of sexual degeneracy. That's the only thing that's their new frontier.
Yeah, it's not like
boldly go where no pause load has gone before is their fucking mantra.
Yeah, it's not even like Mao Zedong where he said like something like sodomy was a bourgeois pastime or anything. And well, I'll admit that Mao was a great strategist, hence how he got into power. He was able to defeat the Chinese nationalists so well. But other than that, he was nothing special. He was just another communist who made ridiculous stuff in mental gymnastics. Yeah, but the people think, oh, we're going to pay for this. Like, college should be meritocracy. I'm just going to say that.
Oh yeah,
not everyone's college material.
Look, high school. If we had a functional fucking education system, high school would be sufficient for like 90% of the jobs out there, and college would be for the best and brightest to pursue the top fields.
Yeah,
that's what it should.
Yeah, as far as free college, that'd be okay for people who actually deserve to go, but not just for. But at this rate, absolutely not. With this system, no way. And on the thing of like government, because you're saying you're a libertarian, I've always been an authoritarian. I was like a socialist and everything. So I've never really understood the libertarian mindset, always being a radical.
Well, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, my general temperament is get the fuck off my lawn.
Like I'm the same way on some things, but I don't know. But that's what I have to say.
Faggots. As much as I dislike the faggots, I don't like. I don't want to even have to be thinking about it.
No, you shouldn't have to be. But
I don't
want to
want
push this
to be fucking like people. Like I don't want to see the bedroom police. Well, I don't particularly want that either. Okay, I don't particularly want cops going door to door checking people's assholes for cum. But this nonsense of it's in my bedroom. No, your bedroom isn't fucking Main Street.
And it's never enough.
If faggots kept that shit in the closet, I wouldn't have a goddamn problem with them.
Well, it's the fact they come out public.
Dude living down the street from me, I'm not worried what's going on in there because I don't give a fuck.
It's not important to general society.
Like, leave me alone.
It's unfortunate how it's just everywhere now. Like you see it all over the media, and it's if you don't want to bake a cake, you got to go to jail, mate. Oi, bro, if it's homophobic.
Yeah, exactly. Like, look, I am very live and let live, but that's a two-way street. It has to be. Ethics is not. Stefan Molyneux said it best. Ethics is not, so much. How do you put it? So much a principle as it is a relationship. You can't. You can't have this standard of how you're going to treat somebody that wants to destroy you.
Yeah, that's you gotta have some kind of ethics, but too many people left and right have the problem of like not having ethics, like the base trap and the Trump hat. And I'm thinking, seriously, dude, what are they gonna do? They don't produce anything other than being, look at me, I can be. I'm not transphobic.
And that's the thing about leftists. I mean, look, ultimately, rightists in their various stripes, we can survive without leftists. Okay, in fact, we would be better off without them. Leftists cannot survive without their right-wing counterparts. They just simply can't. For them to be sitting there like, we're going to start a civil war with you, that the fleas might as well say they're going to kill the dog.
No, they might as well.
First of all, you can't. Second of all, if you could, you would be killing yourself in the process. You would be dooming yourself.
Well, they'll just jump to the cat.
Well, eventually you run out of hosts.
Yeah, you're going to run out of hosts, and it's going there.
Eventually, there's no more fucking there's no more pets in the house, and you're just stuck in the carpet, ready to get vacuumed up.
That's what they do, though. It's look at this. Like I guess I heard. Yeah, Luke went to that thing about the socialists, and they're all triggered. It's like Nazi. It's even like Nazi and fascist, they've thrown it around so much. I honestly think that I'm honestly part of a fascist party. I'm not going to say which one. Well, I can if you really are interested, but you're probably not. But yeah, just wait till actual fascists come out. The left's going to regret it very much. Because it's not going to end very well for them. They go, oh, this guy's a Nazi. But when the actual dudes who follow those ideals actually show up in jackboots and black shirts and whatever, it's not going to be pleasant. And no one's going to take you seriously when you start crying. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
All right. Well, thanks for calling in. Good talking to you. And
You too.
I'm probably going to wrap this up because honestly, I am fucking exhausted today. I got up at like 6 to go to that gun show, and then, I did not.
I totally understand. Your work today was pretty bad.
Yeah, I didn't sleep well last night because again, I'm still fighting allergies. So,
ooh, that's bad.
Yeah, it's been rough this year. And you know what? It's funny. This week I wandered into like the drugstore, and like I'm in the like I have never had to buy allergy medicine in my adult life.
Really?
Because like the worst that usually happens to me is I maybe get one day a year where I'm miserable, and then I just kind of adjust and I'm fine. For whatever reason, this year it kicked my ass for like a week straight. I thought I had a cold at first, but then I realized, like, not to get too nasty, but I mean, I was coughing up nothing but clear fucking mucus. So I'm like, this is clearly not an infection. This has got to be just allergies. So I don't know if I'm getting old or if it's just an exceptional amount of treegasm this year, or if it's a combination of the two. But all week it was kicking my ass. And finally, I just went to the drugstore and bought some allergy medicine. I was like, okay, Claritin, I recognize that brand.
I'm out in the desert, so I don't really see too much of pollen, but sometimes it's around because metropolitan, like
Phoenix area. It's been pretty bad. I mean, my car is like yellow every fucking day, even if I hose it off,
The pollen must be real out back there in the east. Yeah, but anyway, I'm not going to hang too much. I'm going to go now so you can cut this off.
I appreciate the call. Always good talking to you. And all right, well, I think I'm going to go ahead and wrap this show up.
All right, see you, man.
Like I said, I'm kind of tired. Thanks everybody who participated. Luke, thanks for joining us for nap time. And Argent, thanks for being here. British James, thanks for being on board. And if you enjoy the show, folks, and like everybody else is gone, okay. If you enjoy the show, do check out the sponsors, Race Riot Apparel and Reconnaissance Man by Aaron Clary. And also, if you enjoy the show, I would appreciate tips of any size. That's a big help. And that's all we got for this week, folks. Thanks for listening. Bechtloff out.